Welcome back to Church Production. I'm Marcel Patillo. The more we look at PTZ cameras, the more I wonder, why don't we all use PTZ cameras? The quality's there, you can remotely control them, and the size is so small you could put them almost anywhere. But we've been working with Bethany Place Baptist Church, who's been using PTZ cameras from PTZ Optics for a while now. Now, Bethany Place Baptist uses pretty much only volunteers for their production, which means they've had to use PTZs as their only source of video infrastructure. Before we get started, give this video a like and subscribe to the Church Production YouTube channel.
I'm Andrew Ryan. I am a volunteer on the production team here at Bethany Place Baptist Church in Chesterfield, Virginia. Our culture is more of a casual, traditional. We do some blended services with some more contemporary music. But it's not unusual for us to just be doing, your regular old hymns straight out of your classic hymnal as written. We first started using PTZ Optics when we first started streaming. They were the first cameras that we bought. We chose them over, getting a Sony camera or a Panasonic camera, genuinely because of the price point at first. We came into it with a budget, and these were the cameras that met both of our needs and our budget. We have never had an issue with them. They are rock solid. They connect easily. Everything is controlled over IP. They connect to multiple streaming softwares that we've used, but you can also control the PTZ function using PTZ Optics web interface, which you don't have to pay a dime for.
While PTZ Optics has only been around for the last 10 years, they've been almost solely focused on PTZs. And you all know how important it is to me that a company doesn't try to do it all, but try to do one thing really, really well. And that we see in the build quality of the PTZ Optics cameras.
PTZ Optics actually sent us a unit of their PTZ Optics Move 4K, and they also sent us the PTZ Optics SuperJoy controller. Like any PTZ Optics product, the first thing that you're going to notice when you pull it out of the box is they pack extra gravity. These are solid units. They're not falling apart in your hands. I like that. It really helps that I know when I place it somewhere, it's not going to be especially affected by vibrations. When we received the cameras, we basically mounted them along our back wall because we had multiple cameras already. We were able to run cameras on the side in the back and then two cameras in the center, which allows us to switch between tight shots and wide shots without having to zoom or transition.
At the church I work at, Church of the City in Franklin, we have 10 manned cameras, and it is a nightmare to find volunteers that can consistently man those cameras. And honestly, PTZ cameras could do the job if the quality's there.
So the camera itself is great. It's a plug-and-play unit. If you're using NDI, it's super easy. You get signal and power over Ethernet, which is great if you've got an existing network. It's also easy to set up if you don't already have anything in place. The 30x zoom is wonderful. I found that it's useful in almost any size room. We've actually used this in a couple rooms here on campus. In a large room like we use for our normal Sunday services, it's absolutely great for getting your tight close-up headshots when you've got a specific speaker. But it also retains a great color balance and lighting when you zoom out for a wide shot of your band or your lead pastor. The ability to record and stream in 4K if we wanted to it's a great upgrade. It allows us the potential for future growth as we continue to grow our team, to grow our capabilities. That's something that we want to do in the future as we continue to add hardware and quite honestly, train volunteers.
Bethany Place Baptist Church also had the PTZ Optics SuperJoy controller, which allowed them to control all the cameras over IP. One thing I loved about this is they couldn't just control the movement of the camera, but also the focus, the zoom, as well as the exposure.
Some of the features that we really liked about it are the oversized focus and exposure knobs that they've got down here. They feel really good. This one is spring-loaded. They work really well. Our volunteers really liked them in that when you've engaged the knob. The other feature that our volunteers were really over the moon about is the actual PTZ control, the joystick here. So it's very heavily spring-loaded. It's smooth, and the twist focus resets very easily without any kind of bounce. So the controller that we were using previously had some bounce on the zoom control. So when you released it, it would basically unzoom just a bit as it bobbled. With this, no issues with that at all. Some of the other really nice features that we've been enjoying using is the focus lock and the exposure controls. That allows us to adjust cameras without having to go into the web interface for different lighting conditions, whether we're doing an evening service and we've got the sun coming in a window differently. We can adjust the exposure control. We can adjust the white balance. Having the autofocus lock as just a straight button that says autofocus lock makes it really easy to get centered on a speaker, get the focus where you want it, and then lock it so that you don't kind of get the little blurry bits of a speaker coming in and out. The SuperJoy has an HDMI output that's independent of any output or control software that you're using. We found that really helpful because the SuperJoy doesn't indicate within your streaming software what camera you currently have selected. So you want to make sure that you don't accidentally move your currently selected camera during your production.
And of course, lastly, I had to ask, what is the perfect size or type of church that PTZ Optics belongs in?
I think that this camera could be useful for churches of any size. I think anybody could use these cameras, whether in a smaller classroom atmosphere, in a large room atmosphere like this. PTZ Optics sells a really nice L-shaped mount that allows you to mount it anywhere you want. There's plenty of clearance once you've got it on that mount to get all your connections on it. We've used these cameras for our worship services. We've used them for church meetings that we recorded. We've used them for memorial services for a couple choir concerts at this point. They work basically in any application, in any lighting.
So I'll end this just how I began, wondering why we don't use more PTZ cameras in the infrastructure of our auditorium at the church that I work at. They seem so simple, high quality at this point. They have the sensor sizes that we're looking for, and they can do all the movements that we typically need. But for now, let's give a big thanks to PTZ Optics as well as Bethany Place Church for taking the time, implementing these into your system, and giving us your insight on what we can expect from the PTZ Optics Move 4K. Definitely make sure to give this video a like, subscribe to Church Production YouTube channel, as well as check out churchproduction.com for new articles and insights on everything church production. As always, I'm Marcel Patillo. I'll see you all next time.